And joining the conversation, Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. Senator, another mass shooting to report on, teachers shot in another part of the country. What can be done?
Well, we know what can be done. You all have talked about it before. There are common sense gun safety things that we could do in this country that the majority of Americans agree on. Things like universal background checks, gun safety locks. There are things that we all agree on. The problem we have in America is that we have a major political party that is not willing to do the common sense things that would make us safer and are content being complicit in a status quo that makes us as a nation way out of the loop when it comes to the other industrial nations in the world that don't have this regular routine horror, that don't have a reality that has their children having more active shooter drills than fire drills. They don't have a reality where Americans now kiss a family member, going to a concert, going to church, going to a classroom, and having their back of their mind this horror and this worry. This is not a matter of can we do something about it. It's a matter that our leadership right now is lacking the will.
So let's talk about the lack of will. We showed a poll that was very consistent with every poll I've seen over the past decade regarding universal background checks for every gun purchase. Post Sandy Hook, that number shot up to about 9 out of 10 Americans. This latest Quinnipiac poll shows 89% of Americans support background checks for all gun buyers. Only 8% oppose, and only 11% of Republicans oppose it. So my question is, Senator, how in the world can 8% of Americans hold all of Congress in Washington, D.C. hostage politically?
Well, again, I think it's this paper tiger, this belief that right-wing advocacy groups like the NRA and the money that they have somehow is a formidable political bloc that makes folks unable to do what is right for the safety of their country. One of the number one reasons, if you turn to our founders, that this nation was formed was for the common defense. And now we have more people in America, in my short lifetime, that have died due to gun violence than in every single one of our wars, from the Civil War and the Revolutionary War to the wars in the Middle East combined. This is a dereliction of duty. This is a surrender to violence. This is not doing your constitutional duty to protect this nation from threats, foreign and domestic.
President Biden is calling on lawmakers to pass 2 gun safety bills, including banning the type of gun used in the Monterey Park attack. California Senator Dianne Feinstein and Connecticut Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy introduced the bills, which would ban the manufacture and sale of military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, as well as raise the age to purchase assault weapons from 18 to 21. If you really need them. Biden's statement reads in part, I urge both chambers of Congress to act quickly and deliver this assault weapons ban to my desk. The majority of American people agree with this common sense action. There can be no greater responsibility than to do all we can to ensure the safety of our children, our communities, and our nation. And Senator, will this get any support from Republicans?
And again, Senator, this is not an extreme position. If you look at every poll, this is where the majority of Americans are.
Yeah, Joe, I look at you. Yesterday, you said it so plainly. You grew up in a gun culture. You're comfortable around guns. One of my best memories as a child was my grandfather, the first time I touched a gun, taking me out hunting. This has nothing to do with that. No one, as you said yesterday, is coming to take your gun. What we're simply saying is that there are weapons of mass destruction, of war, that do not belong on our streets, where you could kill large amounts of people in seconds. And again, the American public, we know this. The last elections kind of showed this. We are a moderate nation. We understand compromise. We don't want these extremes. And these are extreme weapons that have no place on our streets or in our community. And so again, this is a political obstacle, which is actually should give some folk hope. Because there are groups in America that are amassing in terms of their political power, understanding that we are not helpless in this. Groups like Moms Demand Action are now showing greater numbers than the NRA, greater organizing capacity. And these great organizations need to become more of a national movement to save ourselves. So this is the realm of politics. And for those folks who are frustrated, get more frustrated. But let that frustration motivate you to get more engaged and more involved, because there are people to blame for these mass shootings, but this is time that we all have to take responsibility for ultimately stopping them.
Senator, last hour we talked to Congressman Ruben Gallego, and we were talking about the possibility of raising the debt ceiling and talking about how the Republicans keep talking about how they want to put these spending limits across the board, but they will never show their hand. They will never tell you what they want to cut. Of course, you hear from some that they think Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid need to be slashed, but they'll never give you their plan. I want to play you what Chuck Schumer had to say about this, that if Republicans really want to slash spending, show us what you want to slash. Watch this.
House Republicans, you voted for rules that require regular order for bringing bills to the floor. So put your proposals for debt ceiling on the floor, let the entirety of the House debate it and vote on it, and let the American people see and assess these cuts for themselves. Americans deserve to know what kind of cuts Republicans want to make and why they think it is worth forcing an unnecessary crisis that will hurt most American families.
I've spent my adult life being a deficit hawk. I talk about the debt all the time. I've talked about it for 25 years, and I agree. We need to trim the debt, but don't we also need to see how they want to do it, their priorities? Because their priorities may be out of whack with where, my God, 75% of Americans are. How important is it that we see their plan before votes are taken to slash the budget?
Yeah, you know, this goes back to me learning in high school, playing poker with my buddies. If you're going to sit at the table, put up or shut up. In this case, govern or get out of the way. Don't screw around with the American economy. Don't threaten the average American. What they're doing by not showing their plan, by not being a responsible party willing to govern, what they're instead doing is not obstructionist. This is destructionist, because there are a lot of families out there that will suffer. They'll suffer because their home values will go down. Moody's could say that this kind of move could destroy $15 trillion of home wealth. It could make people's mortgages go up, make people's retirement accounts go down. What they are doing is not obstructionist, it's destructive. So you want a seat at the table. You now are in charge of the House of Representatives. Put up or shut up, govern or get out of the way, because this problem that you are talking about and trying to put at the feet of Democrats and risk things that Americans earned, like their Social Security that they've been paying into all their lives. This problem amassed when you were voting to raise the debt limit time and time again under Donald Trump, where 1/4 of our debt 1/4 of our debt amassed because you gave massive tax breaks to people making over $400,000 a year, blowing massive holes because you did that without paying for it. So put up or shut up, govern or get out of the way. Don't threaten average Americans' home value and retirement savings because of your recklessness.